A Boki story. Chapter 2. The search begins. Forget how it's supposed to be. Find out for yourself, and you may find greatness. Never alone. Hope washed over Okko like a wave and became one with the calming sound of the ocean behind him. He would find Mr. T, no matter what it took. The Boki noticed his grim look and smiled at Okko's determination. I like your spirit. My name is Mina. Mina Meme. Tell you what, I'll help you look for your companion if you like, but there is one condition. Okko's face lit up. Really? That would be amazing, thank you. I haven't even mentioned the condition yet, she answered, a little baffled. What is that? A condition? Something to eat? No, oh, never mind. We'll get to it in time. Okay, great, Okko said, and started walking around, looking for any traces the little frog may have left. Mina helped Okko as best as she could, before covering her eyes from the sunlight and looking towards the horizon. She had no clue how to find Mr. T, but someone else might have. Sometimes things can be right in front of us and we don't even realise it, she said. Okko scratched the back of his head. What is that supposed to mean? He asked. You have a lot of questions, you know. Come on, let's keep looking. I have an idea. The two continued in silence, walking away from the warm sands of the beach and towards the outskirts of a huge forest. To Okko, it looked like a giant maze of towering wooden giants. To Mina, it was a place of nostalgia and childhood memories. I don't remember anything, by the way, Okko told Mina casually. Like, you don't remember how your day went? She asked. No, like I don't remember anything before being stranded on an island. The eyes of the pink-haired Boki widened. An island? Do you mean the unknown island? I don't know. Yeah, I guess. Mina stopped walking and looked at Okko. Huh? What is a huh? Okko was really glad he finally had someone who was able to answer his questions in a language he could understand. The female Boki did not seem to be in the mood to answer them all, though. Let's keep walking. I know someone who might be able to answer your questions. And he surely can help us find your friend, Mina promised, and started leading the way. Okko, not knowing what else to do, followed her example. They both trod down a barely visible path through the dense green. This went on for quite a while. The female Boki was a little taller than him, and her hair looked funny. His hair was of a sea green colour, so he had thought every Boki would have his colour of hair. But hers was of a bubbly pink colour. There was so much still to learn for our young hero. I hope we find tea soon. Then come on and hurry up, she said, and started running. The search begins, Chapter 2, Part 2. The first steps. Over the next few days, they set out on their journey. Okko, with his memory loss, had a childlike innocence that made him trust her completely, and his instincts had gotten pretty sharp through the time on the island as well. Once, they had travelled by moonlight through a dense jungle as a loud howl had cut through the brisk night air. They had continued cautiously, their eyes scanning the trees for any signs of danger. But all of a sudden, a pack of vicious-looking wolves had burst out of the underbrush, snarling and baring their teeth and sprinting towards them. Okko froze on the spot, but Mina sprang into action, pulling out a small vial of liquid from her adventurer robe. With a quick flick of her wrist, she threw the vial at the wolves, and a thick cloud of smoke billowed up around them, making them howl in confusion and anger. Run, she yelled, grabbing Okko's hand and dragging him along. They ran as fast as they could, the wolves hot on their heels. And just when it seemed like they were about to be caught, They burst out of the trees and stumbled onto a river. Okko, trained through his life on an island, now grabbed Mina by the hand and without thinking jumped into the sprawling water. He had to use all of his strength, but he managed to cross the river safely together with Mina. Once they were on the other side and heard the wolves' frustrated howling behind them, both Bokis collapsed onto the ground, panting and laughing. "That was close," the Boki said, panting, and got up. She mustered Okko critically. "You should really freshen up before we go to my old man. Let's get you some new clothes as well." Okko looked down at himself and saw that he was wearing torn and ragged clothes, and his skin was sunburnt and covered in scratches. He felt a weird sensation, like worrying about what other people think, but about things that don't matter, things less important than friends, or fishing. His face got red, and he looked up back into Mina's face, but said nothing. "See, you need a new outfit. I want to keep my jacket though." "We'll see about that," shouted Mina happily, and started walking swiftly towards a village nested into a hill nearby. "I still don't understand why people can't just do whatever they want," Okko said with a frown. "Why do we have to follow all these rules and customs?" "Well, it's all about maintaining order and balance, or something. I mean, imagine if everyone just did whatever they wanted. It would be chaos. People would be hurting each other, taking things that didn't belong to them, and there would be no sense of community or unity. Society only works when we all agree to certain rules and expectations." "I guess that makes sense," Okko said slowly. "But what about the people who don't fit in?" "It's difficult, but we Bokis managed to create a society that accepts all, who respect the dignity of others. Mostly, at least." "That's pretty cool." Okko liked that idea. A world where the mutual agreement is to respect each other no matter who you are. From afar, he heard the simmering and mumbling of a big crowd of people and the clanking of construction. "Is this that village thing?" "Yep," Mina just said happily and started walking faster. The threshold. What Mina had called the village exceeded Okko's wildest expectations. There were so many Bokis and companions in one place. So much amazing architecture, so many shops, he just simply felt overwhelmed. A smith forged sugar blades in the heat of embers. Merchants praised their wares, and little Bokis sprang and ran around everywhere, playing in the streets. Mina led Okko through many little alleys and walkways, stocking up on supplies and chatting with Bokis known to her. Okko felt excited, but also like an outsider. Some Bokis looked at him with suspicion, their eyes lingering on his strange clothes and wild, unkempt hair. After a while, Mina sensed his discomfort and pulled him into a small shop. "Don't worry, I know the owner," she whispered, winking at him. "Let's finally get you a new outfit." Inside the shop, Okko was overwhelmed by the sights and the smells. There was exotic coloured materials and fabric from all over, and the air was thick with the scent of incense and linen cloth. The owner, a bearded old Boki, with a face wrinkled by age, smiled, greeting Mina warmly. "Ah, my dear, what brings you here today?" he asked, his eyes twinkling. "I need some basic travel equipment and a new outfit for my friend here," the female Boki replied, scanning the shelves. "Something yellow." Hours passed in which Okko was led around the store and measurements were taken, until the old Boki got to work. When it was done, Okko felt a sense of pride swell in his chest. The new yellow hoodie and white trousers were of a sturdy material and had many pockets and small gadgets built into it. There was even a small emergency dagger hidden in one of the many pockets, and a climbing rope. Mina and the old Boki were happy with the results as well, at least considering they couldn't persuade Okko to use other colours than yellow and white. "Ah, and one more thing for you, my young friend," the old man said, turning to Okko. "Something to protect you on your journey." He handed Okko a small amulet carved from a deep blue stone. "Wear this round your neck and it will keep you safe from harm," he said, his voice serious. Okko thanked him, slipping the amulet over his head. He felt a sense of calm wash over him immediately. "Trippy," he said, as they left the shop. Mina turned to him. "See, I told you not to worry. Now let's find a place to stay for the night. I think I know just the one. Continuing their walk through the village, Okko couldn't help but steal glances at the pink-haired Boki. She was unlike anyone he'd ever met before, with her sharp wit and boundless energy, and there was something about her that he couldn't quite put his finger on, something that made his heart race and his stomach flutter, something weird. Mina, he said, breaking the silence between her. What's up, Boki? She replied, glancing over at him with a smile. Well, I just wanted to say that I think you're beautiful. The Boki's eyes widened in surprise, and for a moment she seemed at a loss for words. Oh, she said finally, her cheeks flushing slightly. Thank you, Okko. That's very kind of you to say. Okko grinned, feeling a rush of excitement at her response. He seemed like he'd said something not stupid. It's true, he said earnestly. I think you're the most beautiful creature I've ever seen. Mina chuckled, her expression softening. Thank you, Okko. But just to clear things up, I'm a female Boki, so mind your manners. Okko's face twisted in confusion. A female what now? The Boki smirked, a playful glimmer in her eye. A female Boki, silly. There's male and female Bokis. Okko felt a rush of embarrassment flood over him. He'd never even considered the possibility of gender for a Boki before. I didn't know that, he stammered. Mina shrugged, still grinning. It's all good. Now you know. They soon found an inn on the outskirts of the village, a small but cosy establishment run by a kind elderly couple, and settled down to rest. That night, Okko had a bad dream. He was falling, tumbling through a dark, endless void, searching for Mr. T, his heart pounding with fear. He tried to scream, but no sound escaped his lips, and he felt himself growing smaller and smaller until he's nothing more than a speck of dust. Adventures. So, what exactly are we looking for? He asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Both stood in the midst of a forest again. Mina had explained to him that they would reach the outskirts of the mountains soon. We're looking for a cave, the Boki replied, scanning the surrounding area. It's a great shortcut, and we might find something cool to help you with your memory problems. It should be around here somewhere. Okko nodded, his eyes scanning the terrain for any sign of a cave. The forest was eerily quiet, save for the occasional rustle of leaves and the chirping of crickets. Finally, they came to a steep cliff face. Mina looked up, her eyes scanning the rocky surface. Aha! She exclaimed, pointing to a small crevice in the cliff face. That's it! The entrance to the cave! Okko's heart leapt with excitement as they made their way up the rocky slope. The climb was treacherous, but Mina seemed to know exactly where she was going, her movements sure and steady. Okko not so much so. But he managed to not fall down. After what felt like an eternity to the young Bokis, they reached a crevice, a narrow opening in the rock face that led deep into the earth. Mina produced a torch from her pack and lit it, illuminating the darkness within. Ready? She asked, turning to Okko. He nodded resolutely, feeling a thrill of excitement and fear in his gut. Then the two of them stepped into the cave, and the darkness enveloped them. For hours they walked through the twisting tunnels leading upwards, the only sound the soft shuffle of their footsteps on the rocky ground. Soon they were deep inside the heart of the mountain, and had only one of the original 3 torches left. Finally, they came to a large chamber, the walls shimmering with a faint, otherworldly light. In the centre of the chamber, there was a small pool of water, its surface still and calm. Mina approached the pool, her eyes scanning the surface. This is it, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Okko's heart raced as she produced a small vial from her pack. We need to collect some of the water, she explained, filling the vial with a clear liquid. What is it for? Okko asked, his eyes wide with wonder. It's a special kind of water, the Boki replied, tucking the vial into her pack. It can restore lost memories if treated right. If anything can help you get your memories back, then it's this. Okko nodded, feeling a glimmer of hope in his heart. Maybe his memories would bring him closer to finding tea. Both decided to continue the climb and to leave the tunnel system. But as they turned to leave the huge chamber, a low growl echoed through the cavern. The ground shook beneath their feet, and Okko felt a sense of deep unease settling in his gut. "What was that?" he asked, his voice shaking. "Oh, just a whale flying by." "A what doing what?" "A giant smart creature swimming through the clouds. They're so big, they sometimes make the mountains shake as they fly close by." It had taken until sunset to find an exit out of the dark caverns. The two Bokis now sat on top of a lonely tree, high up in the mountains, rewarding themselves with candy and other sweets Mina had bought in the village. As Okko and the female Boki sat in the tree, talking and eating their candy and fruits, a small white speck became visible on the horizon. It was a sheep, but not just any sheep. It was a flying sheep. Its wool fluttered in the wind as it soared above the distant mountains, completely unnoticed by the two friends. So what are we doing on this tree? The world around them was bathed in soft, warm light. The sun had begun to dip below the horizon, casting the sky in shades of pink and purple. The leaves rustled gently in the breeze, sending the scent of pine and fresh earth wafting through the air. This is a whale route stop. If we're lucky, a whale will come by soon and bring us up to the highest mountain where I live. Okko just now noticed a small red shield dangling from one of the tree branches, stating in weather-worn letters, "Whale stop." "That's mighty kind of them." "Indeed," Mina nodded. Both continued eating candy. The landscape that stretched itself before them was a beautiful mix of mountains, rolling hills, dense forests and sparkling streams. In the distance they could see the towering peaks of other nearby mountains, their snow-capped summits glowing in the evening light. The air was cool and crisp, and carried with it the sound of birds and the distant roar of a waterfall. Suddenly Okko felt a rumbling, and the trees shuddered as an immense shadow covered the two and swallowed the sun. A gigantic whale passed through the air above them, and Nina nodded, satisfied. "Weeby, hey, down here!" shouted Mina. One of the huge eyes of the whale spotted the two Bokis, and a loud noise greeted the two. Okko laughed. He couldn't believe his own eyes. Gently and with an elegance seemingly nearly impossible for such a large creature, the whale hovered downwards in a long, circular motion until it stopped right in front of Okko and Mina. "Time for you to fly with the whales, young Boki,"